into the fourth quarter.
Yeah.
And it stayed like that until about the middle of the fourth quarter, and that's when the women for ISU started missing a lot of threes, and it made me bad. I remember I texted you like, man,
those are the shots
team,
you need to knock down the stretch.
I remember I texted you like, man, the girls' team suck, man. They been airballing too many threes, and I was like, they airballing in the clutch. This is when it's important. I remember I told you that, and then they come back, and then they prove me wrong. And they beat Eastern Illinois the next day, 59.
Huge bounce back. Another road game. Huge bounce back for the girls basketball team.
Not only that, but just Eastern Illinois that's kind of like a rival.
Yeah,
you're going to see them if you're going to school at Indiana State for the full 4 years and you're paying attention to the sports. You're going to see Eastern Illinois. That's just what it is. Now,
ISU played Eastern Illinois last year, again on the road, lost 63-39.
So that just shows you the improvement.
So this team put up 39 points on them last year, and then this year beat them 59.
With a brand new team.
Yep.
And it's interesting just seeing this. This is just a good storyline in general. You see and for the people listening who's saying like, What happened to the old team then? I don't know. I can't tell you guys. I don't know.
A lot of internal stuff.
Yeah, it's a lot of internal stuff. I'm sure they're gonna keep it from me.
Of course.
But I don't know. But it's a brand new team, and they're a lot better.
I'm kind of excited to watch them too, just because of it's an entirely new roster.
Mm-hmm.
So they're gonna be a lot of fun.
And you get to see because I know a hard thing about being on a team with a brand new team, it's got to be, okay, I don't know these people.
Chemistry.
And basketball is a big chemistry sport. Yep. So just seeing how they become better with each other over the course of time.
And basketball's a long season, so you have that time, and they're with each other every single day. They have to be. So yeah, it'll get there, and getting wins early will certainly help it.
Definitely.
So,
and a big thing about getting those wins, man, early is you win a fan base over.
Of course.
And people, and it's crazy because I was talking to somebody. We were listening to the last podcast when we were talking about we did the men's basketball preview, and I was telling them like you got to win those first 6 away games. You got to win that away stretch because you need fans. And somebody was like, How does that determine fans? This is how that determines fans, because when your team doesn't do that good, people are thinking, why would I spend my money to watch these people when they're not even that good? I can just that's the thing. You need people at your games if you want to actually win the games.
Mm-hmm.
So that's just the big thing right there. Let's go ahead and move on to LSU. Bama, number 2 LSU, number 3 Alabama, and
shout out to LSU, man.
I'm going to tell you now, Joe Burrow, the quarterback for LSU, has in my heart won the Heisman, and I think in the voters' hearts won the Heisman.
I don't even who would be with them? Like, is it even close?
No
way. It is
because Chase Young. We were just talking about him, the DN from Ohio State. He was in it, but he just got in trouble.
Yep,
and then. I don't even know the rest.
Yeah,
so
I think it should be Joe Burrows.
But Tua, I'm sure he's got
right.
But this man threw for, might as well call it 400 yards, 393 yards, 3 touchdowns. Then
31 of 39. That is to do that with almost 403 TDs, no turnovers, on the road in Alabama. Against that defense.
And then had a quarterback rating of 91.9.
Yep.
But that's just the passing game. Let me tell you what else. These guys were firing on all cylinders. Clyde E. This guy had 103 rushing yards and 3 touchdowns. That's 6 touchdowns by 2 stars already. Now, don't get me wrong. I feel like Alabama also did a good job. I think where Alabama lacked that, I think the big thing was just defensively, they didn't do what they had to do
in the first half.
The first half, it just was too many miscues. You see Tua.
LSU put up 30-plus points in the first half. Like, you're not really going to win that game.
Yeah. And then you see Tua, he fumbled, and it wasn't even forced. And they had 12 men on the field for that one pick.
He fumbled that in the red zone. He just dropped it.
It was right there,
Yeah, I remember that.
And they had I think, if I'm not mistaken, LSU had just scored, or was that the first possession of the game?
I think LSU had just scored.
So, that's bad. But
Yep.
one thing that caught me, and this is why I say Joe Burrow has won the Heisman, and we were talking about this downstairs. So this is the thing. So going into halftime, Alabama was up by 20.
It was like 33-13.
They were up by 20. So then they come out, and Alabama's defense stops them 3 times. Offense capitalizes. They get 2 touchdowns. They're down by 1 at this point.
Right back in it.
Boom. They throw a touchdown pass. It's tied. Joe Burrow comes out. He knows if I don't score right here, Tua's going to score. Alabama's going to score.
I just want to iterate. They're in Alabama, too. Joe Burrow's doing this
I'm
on
get
the
to that
road,
part. I was going to get
bro.
to that part. So
it's wild.
He comes out. He knows that if they score, they win. Well, he knows that they're going to score. They're not going to be in the lead anymore if he doesn't. So there's 100,000 people in this stadium screaming at the top of their lungs. If you were watching the game, you could see they were playing with the lights, so the lights were going on and off.
A lot of teams have been doing that this year. It's kind of cool.
I seen Georgia do it first against Notre Dame.
Notre Dame, I remember that.
Yeah, but so that's the case with that. They're turning off the lights. It's loud as hell, and then boom, Joe Burrow scores again. So that's when right then and there is when I was like, okay, yeah,
he's something special.
Yeah, we can give him the trophy now if they want to. I'm not.
But, like, you look on the other side, Tua had a fantastic day, 21 of 40, 418 yards, 4 TDs, did have the 1 pick and the 1 fumble. Devontae Smith, 7 catches, 213 yards, 2 TDs. So Alabama's there, but what hurt them the most was that first half. They let up 33 points, only got 13, had to crawl back, ended up not being able to. I know they're looking back and saying, wow, we kind of messed that up in the first half for sure on the defensive end.
Yeah, in Alabama, everybody kind of automatically assumes that Alabama's just going to make the playoffs.
Yeah.
When they hear their names in general.
Yep.
Do you think there's still a chance that they can make the playoffs even after this loss? Because they don't play. I feel like the SEC is tough enough, but they haven't played. That's not good enough to the voters. They haven't played anybody ranked. Do you think that they have
who
a
they
chance?
did play ranked, they just lost to. So
yeah, so I think that they got Mississippi State next. They got a team called WCU, and then they play Auburn.
Yep,
that's it. Then it's the end of the season. So, do you think there's still a possibility? We're talking top 4 play now. So they're battling with Ohio State. They're battling with Clemson. They're battling with all these undefeated teams.
Yep. Because right now it's LSU, Ohio State. Who is third?
No, it's not that. LSU is 2, Alabama's 3rd. First is Ohio State.
Okay.
And 4th is
was Penn State.
Yeah.
And they just lost as well to Minnesota. So I think there's still obviously a possibility Bama's in just because it's just going to have to play out what goes on around them. LSU's has solidified it 100%. Ohio State's probably not going to lose. Clemson's not going to lose. So those are the top 3. But that 4th spot
is up for grabs.
By a lot of teams. But Alabama has an easy schedule down the stretch. But will people look at that and be like, okay, they've won it all, they've lost one, throw them in? Or are they going to look at that as they lost LSU, who's in there, and they beat all the bad teams, so do they even deserve it to be in? But I don't know. Other than Alabama, Georgia could slide up. I think they're at 5th right now. It's definitely going to get crazy. Bama needed to win this one to solidify it, but it's kind of shaky for them.
And it's crazy because LSU, they played tough games before Bama.
Dude, they've beaten 3 top 10 teams this season.
So just being in that situation in general is it's kind of hard for Tuscaloosa and Nick Saban and all of them because
they might not make it this year.
And it would be it really wouldn't be too much of a shocker because I've seen this all happen.
Yeah.
But it would have been if you would have told me this at the beginning of the year that Alabama might not make the playoffs, I would have looked at you like you were crazy. So, man, if you pay attention to, since we're talking about playoffs, Ohio State in there, they're killing. Dwayne Haskins, that was the quarterback for the Buckeyes last year. This guy is now playing in the NFL in Washington, D.C. for the Redskins. And this guy is 6'4", 231 pounds. They just named him as the starter for the rest of the season.
Yep. Case Keenum will be number 2, and Colt McCoy will be the number 3 quarterback.
And one thing that I can say, man, is I got a chance to actually watch this guy play in college. I think he's good. I think probably the biggest, nobody's perfect, so he has his flaws. I think that he isn't as fast as some of the quarterbacks that I've seen at Ohio State, especially when you're spoiled and you're watching people like Braxton Miller, for example, who's quick, or you're watching people like J.T. Barrett, who I don't really feel like was that good of a quarterback but was decent with speed. Now, Dwayne Haskins, starting for the rest of the season for the Redskins, is going to definitely make a big difference for them, and the reason why is because their record is 1-8.
Struggling.
Yeah, so I think the biggest thing for them is just trying to get him, because this is the thing with quarterbacks. I think you got to get them warmed up.
Yeah.
And this is something that I seen LSU kind of not really do much of either, is you got to get those screens and those flares and those bubble
those passes right up the middle kind of thing.
Yeah, them slants, those curls. You have to get your quarterback warmed up with those types of things, and if he can't throw after that, then it's a problem.
Yeah, being in a rhythm is huge, especially for a young quarterback, a rookie like Haskins.
And I think that that's one thing that they should work on the most with him is, getting him warmed up. And
he's already had a start. He made his first start November 3rd to the loss at Buffalo. He didn't star in it. They lost 24-9. Completed 15-22 for 144. No interceptions, so that's huge. He didn't turn the ball over. 44 pass attempts covering 8.5 quarters. Haskins has yet to throw a touchdown pass. So he ain't turning the ball over, but he's not scoring for the Redskins as well.
Now, do you think because besides what I'm saying, how do you think that he would actually be a good fit as a starter for the Redskins? Because, they had Keenum before. They weren't really doing that good with him. But sometimes some people feel like that people need time. How do you feel about that?
I definitely think he'll do better, because you see Case Keenum and Colt McCoy, they're 1-8. You drafted this rookie quarterback for a reason. He was a star in college. Throw him out there for the rest of the season, see how he does. I think it's perfect.
And I think that's something that, I don't know, because when you're like the coach or you're the owner, they always want people to be kind of careful with the rookies, let them take their time, let them develop. But
they're going to learn quick if you throw them out there.
I mean, and that's what I feel. And I think that is the best experience you can get.
100%.
Go out there
in the deep end, yeah.
And this is the NFL. You get in there and you start getting in a rhythm, it's over with. You got it, unless you get injured or something. So getting that, first off, that's already rare as it is, just getting a rhythm in the NFL in general.
Yeah.
So, I just think it's a pretty good move.
And one thing on Haskins, calling plays in the huddle, it says players said he was much improved in the area against Buffalo, and one member of the organization said he was, quote, locked in as they'd seen him leading into that game. Haskins said getting all the reps throughout the week made a big difference. He displayed that poise in the pocket, and he showed the team scouted him at Ohio State, and his arm talent was evident on several of the throws. So he's definitely a star, and he definitely has a lot of talent. So we'll see how the rest of the season goes for him for sure.
Yes, sir. So let's jump back into basketball real quick. Go ahead and introduce this story. This is something that you know more about than me.
Yeah, so developing over the weekend, James Wiseman, the number 1 recruit, potential number 1 overall pick in next year's draft, has been deemed ineligible by the NCAA, but he's continuing to play after strong support from the university and honestly throughout the whole country. Everyone's really on his side. Says Memphis Tiger center James Wiseman now finds himself at the center of the sport's biggest controversy after a bizarre weekend that saw him appear in a Tennessee court 1 hour before starring in a blowout win over Illinois Chicago. The entire country is watching to see what happens next amid an ongoing battle for the athletes' rights and NCAA reform. So what it is Hardaway, the coach, Wiseman's family allegedly accepted $11,500 from Hardaway at the onset of his junior year of high school. The NCAA is pretty much calling Hardaway a booster, and you can't really do that. That's against the rules.
Obviously, yeah.
So, as a player and as a family, you have a coach coming to you with almost $12,000 to kind of recruit you? How do you?
This is a good. See, I'm glad we're talking about
Yeah.
this. Me and you were just talking about this in the basement.